Nicole asks, her particular question would be specific to transitioning out of an IBC or international business company and the changes that occurred with IBCs at the beginning of this year. Great question. Thank you for that, Nicole. We here in Belize, there was probably the largest change that I've ever seen as far as companies and company legislation that happened last year, 2022, that went into effect 1st January 2023. That was the passage of our Belize Companies Act of 2022. And what that act effectively did more than one thing, but what it did to IBCs or domestic companies that were formed prior to the passage of that act, we used to call them 250s, or after the Chapter 250 of the Laws of Belize Companies Act, as well as registered business names, limited liability partnerships, and some other corporate matters that were handled by our company's registry. All of those old style companies were forced to go through a re-registration process that started last November 2022. Effectively, all old companies, once they've been re-registered, be it an IBC or a former local company, were transformed into a Belize company, the new company under the act of last year. In addition to that re-registration, or why that re-registration happens, is because we have moved to a digitized registry. So a completely electronic registry at our company's registry in Belmont Pond. That was a major change. Everything was done with hard copy filings in the past. Another major change that happened with that act is that now we have licensed registered agents. Prior to the passage of that act, again, the Belize Companies Act of 2022, anyone could approach the registry and file on behalf of any company. There was very little regulation or restriction with regard to filings. Now, any companies post Jan 1, 2023, any companies that have what I call a foreign component, either foreign shareholders, foreign non-resident directors, officers, what have you, or an overseas company that's been registered here in Belize to conduct business, what we would call a branch. Any companies that have that foreign component must route all their filings through a licensed registered agent and maintain a relationship with that licensed registered agent. That licensed registered agent is the only entity, licensed entity, that can, again, submit file documents on behalf of those companies with a foreign component. Domestic companies, companies in Belize here that have a domestic component as far as beneficial ownership, board of directors, officers, what have you, they are allowed to make and conduct filings on their own behalf directly to the registry, albeit through our online registry now. It's called OBRS. So they don't have to use a registered agent. Again, domestic companies or companies with domestic beneficial ownership or management. However, everything is digitized at this point. And there's been some growing pains, some wrinkles that need to be ironed out. I don't think the company's registry is there just yet, even though we're some halfway through the year. But I do believe that all these changes, the implementation of these new laws, were a very positive thing, are a very positive thing toward the modernization of our company's registry and how our government deals with company filings. So thank you for that question about IBCs, Nicole.